Now, countries are starting to move away from the dollar. We've been reporting on this for quite a while. We know that Russia, China, Syria, Venezuela, and many other countries, they're moving away from the dollar. And they're either using their own currency, moving towards the yuan, maybe the ruble, maybe even the euro. But they're moving away from the dollar because they understand, first of all, the deep state can sanction them through the central banking system. And through sanctions, they can control the country. And if they move away from the dollar, they break that control. And those countries that are hit hard by sanctions, that get into trouble, well, it's usually the people that get caught up in all of this, where the currency might devalue, they might see inflation, they might see hard times, people lose their wealth. And we've seen this in many countries. I mean, if we look at Venezuela, that's a perfect example. If we look at Argentina, we see it there. They don't have sanctions, it's just that their country is a complete mess. We see out in Iran, Syria, Russia, China, you name it, wherever there are sanctions, you can see that there are problems. And a lot of these countries have decided, you know something, we're going to move away. Now, Russia and China, they created the BRICS, they created the separate payment system apart from the SWIFT, and they are buying as much gold as possible. Russia is looking into cryptocurrencies. Many of the other countries, they have been moving either towards cryptocurrency or away from cryptocurrencies. Those with private Western central banks, they really don't want to have anything to do with cryptocurrencies because that is the order of the central bank. Do not look at gold or silver. Do not look at cryptocurrency. Only look at our paper money. That is it. But we can see right now in Iran, those people who are nervous and afraid, and we know that the rial is crashing right now because of all the sanctions and things like that, they are taking their wealth and putting it into cryptocurrency because it is a shield against hyperinflation. And they're able to get their funds out of the country. Now, I mentioned this in a few reports back where I said if there is a financial crisis, and we've seen this done in other countries, because what happens is when there is a financial crisis, the central banking system, the governments, they lock everything down. They say, yes, you can transfer from bank to bank, but you can't take cash out. They definitely don't want you taking cash out of the system. The thing is, with cryptocurrencies right now, which is really not part of any banking system, this is a way to get your funds, and this way hasn't been around for a very long time. It is a way electronically to get your funds out of the banking system with the push of a button. And boom, you're done. You don't have to run down to the ATM. You don't have to take your currency out and then go purchase gold or make a purchase into gold. You can just hit a button and then boom, it's someplace else, outside of the banking system. And once again, cryptocurrencies, they don't have borders. It's universal, just like gold. Pretty much the same thing. Cryptocurrencies is really like the electronic version of that. And this is why central bankers do not like it at all. And we can see right now out in Iran, this is what people are doing. They are taking their wealth and they're moving it into cryptocurrencies. And what's very interesting about all this is that we mentioned that there are certain states, there are certain counties that are allowing you or passing laws allowing you to pay using cryptocurrencies to pay off your taxes. We see stores are starting to accept cryptocurrencies. And as we move forward, we're going to see more of this. Why? Because this is going to be the new currency. I mean, Steve Wozniak, the co-founder of Apple, the guy that actually created the personal computer. And he was giving a speech in Vienna, Austria, to We Are Developers World Congress 2018. And in his opening speech, he decided to mention blockchain technology. And he said, blockchain is the next major IT revolution that is about to happen. And he explained that the outlook on blockchain, by the fact that there are many useful applications for the technology in a number of areas, is going to be the next up-and-coming IT revolution. He says cryptocurrencies will achieve full potential in 10 years. That doesn't mean it's going to start in 10 years. It's going to hit its full potential. So during this period, just like the internet was started, but it hit its potential maybe 5 years later. But during that period of time, everyone was getting on board. The same thing is happening right now. And he's saying that this is going to be the next pretty much currency system. Now, he sold all his Bitcoins. He says he's not an investor. He didn't want to watch the prices go up and down. When everything is stabilized and, it is the technology that everyone is using, guess what? He'll be back in. He's kept one Bitcoin. That's what he's kept right now. And I believe that eventually he's going to be purchasing a lot more. And we can see right now that there are many investors, there's the elite, that are taking their wealth and they are moving it into cryptocurrency and keeping it in a vault. They're doing this for a reason. People are doing this for a reason because they understand that this banking system, the central banking system, it's corrupt. It doesn't serve the people. It serves the central bankers. And we see already that banks, well, they do underhanded things. I mean, look at Wells Fargo. I mean, they were caught up in pushing customers into higher fee retirement accounts. And they got caught. And they're caught again. Wells Fargo's business banking improperly altered information on documents related to corporate customers without their knowledge. The information adjusted by Wells Fargo employees varied from social security numbers to addresses to dates of birth for people associated with business banking clients. Now, this is amazing because they were getting their paperwork and get everything together to meet a deadline to comply with regulatory consent order related to the bank's anti-money laundering controls. So in other words, to comply with regulations against fabricating client data, they fabricated client data. I mean, think about what is happening here. The banking system is completely corrupt. The central banking system is completely corrupt. It's not part of the government. They're not for the people. It's a private corporation. They deal in profit. They deal in debt. They're not looking out for the best interests of the economy of the world. They never were. Their system is only designed to last 40 to 45 years. Then it collapses. This is why they have events every single time and we move to a new system. And they do this over and over and over again. I mean, 1971 we moved to a new system because the central bankers, they couldn't create currency because we were hooked to the gold standard. How do you create more currency and take control more of the economy? You get off the gold standard, the checks and balances. This is why they came up with this ridiculous story of gold speculators. We're going to temporarily come off of the gold standard for 40, 45 years. That's what they did. That's a very long temporary period of time, which means they lied. They always end up lying. It sounds great. They really think very hard about their stories. They back it up, And they make you believe that they're doing it for your best interest, but really they're doing it for themselves. The economy is breaking down right now, and we are seeing indicator after indicator showing us that things are not going well. I mean, look at the continuing jobless claims. Now, since the last Great Recession, 2008-2009, we have seen jobless claims drop to the lowest we've ever seen. So we're at the lowest point in 45 years. That's 1973. I mean, that is pretty darn low. But when you look at the continuous jobless claims, every time they hit a low point, we go into a recession. I mean, just go back in time. If you go back to 2001, low points, recession. 2008, low point, recession. Even go further back, 1973, low point, recession. I mean, if you look at this, it's the same thing over and over and over. It's a pattern. We are now seeing the Philly Fed spike, and it's incredible. It has surged like there's no tomorrow. This is one of the best new order prints in 45 years. The numbers jumped from 23.2 to 34.4, and new orders exploded from 18 to 40. This is the highest since 1973. And here we go again. Every time this has happened, we entered a recession. We saw this in 2007, 8 months later, or 2008, going into 2008. 8 months later, the U.S. economy was in a recession. Look at 2001, same thing. Go back into the 90s, the same thing. Go back into the 80s, the same thing. It's a repeating pattern over and over and over. And once again, when we start to look at this and we look at the jobless claims, think about this for a second. Delinquencies are rising. Mortgage applications are imploding. And retail is going under. Automobiles, the sales are dropping. Housing sales are going to fall. Bubbles are bursting in Canada, Australia. We're seeing the bubble burst here in the United States. And we have Fitch out there going, I don't understand this. You know, we're at the lowest unemployment rate, and all of this doesn't make sense. Why would delinquencies be rising? It makes no sense. Does it really make sense that we're at the lowest point that we've ever seen in jobless claims right now? I mean, it really doesn't make any sense whatsoever, because you're in an illusion. And they're very good at creating illusions. They're very good at tricking the population. They're very good at making you believe what they're telling you, because they're spewing out fake news. They're spewing out fake statistics. They're spewing out everything that they want you to believe in. And then when it all goes south, they point the finger someplace else. They already know what's happening. They already know the system's crashing. They already know the dollar is dying. They already know all of this. I mean, they have their plans. They have their plans to move us into a new currency. Of course, it's going to be a centralized currency. And the people need to rise up and say, you know something? We're not going to use it. We're going to use something completely different. Maybe something that's decentralized. And we can see in all different countries, in governments, in corporations, they're starting to move to cryptocurrencies. It's very easy to go into this. We already have the internet. We already have the electronic payment system. We know how to use it. I'm not talking one that's connected to the banking system. I'm saying people know how to go into a store, use their phone, use their credit card, and pay electronically. They know how to bank electronically. I hate to say it, cryptocurrencies, really not that big of a difference. I mean, everyone goes, oh, I'm so confused. It really isn't that confusing. You have a bank account number? Think of it as an address. Guess what? Cryptocurrencies has an address or a bank account number that you use. People take your number and they send you the funds. You take their number and they send you the funds. You have a secret number. Oh, that's like your bank PIN number. So if you really think about it, there's not that big of a difference. People make it bigger than it really is. We already know how to do all this stuff. And going forward, this is going to be a very easy switch. It's not going to be that hard. And people are going to start to realize, hey, I don't need the banking system. I can use this new currency without the bank. I can purchase gold. I can purchase products. I can send money to people. There's no reason to pay taxes on it because the central bank has nothing to do with this. It's not created with interest attached. That's the most important part of it. And it's a truth machine. Remember, this is outside the system. So if governments want to seize assets like physical gold, well, they can find that and they can take it. If they wanted to take land, they can take that because it's within their jurisdiction. It's in their country. Cryptocurrencies, they're decentralized. They're not in one location. And soon, the exchanges are going to be decentralized. They're not going to be in one location. It's not like, oh, they're sitting here in the US. They're sitting everywhere. So how do you seize the assets? Very difficult to do so, especially if you have it in an offline wallet. And people are starting to realize this in other countries. They're already realizing that, hey, I'm outside of the system. I can protect myself. And many people are going to start to realize this, and this is what the central bank is very worried about. And this is the biggest thing here. And I'm not saying you shouldn't have gold or silver. That protects your wealth. Cryptocurrencies protects your wealth. Both of them together, double protection. So we are moving to a new currency, and the people are going to drive